Hello everyone, welcome to the end of the year, which means we're now back for another installment of the good stuff list. Ha! Ha! Yes, it's here, the big end of year list that I try to form over the year. I will be honest, I feel like this year has kind of been low-key, high-key, a down year for my music. I've already mentioned in previous videos how busy this year has gotten, and pretty much that's hindered my listening time. It's hindered the amount of albums I was able to listen to this year. Like on my Instagram, I posted a bit ago of all the albums that I still needed to listen to for the year. I mean, just look at this. Almost 12 pages of albums and music that I still needed to listen to. Of course, I've chipped away at it little by little, but it's such a small dent in this large manifesto of a wall of albums that I just couldn't be able to accomplish by the end of this year. I mean, look at this. Holy shit. Yeah, it's not all that I wanted to listen to. There'll be a lot of notable omissions, but at this point, I'm kind of done complaining about how busy I was this year and how little time I had to listen to all these albums, like I've mentioned in the previous few videos. Realistically, I should have done these earlier and or managed my time better, but it is what it is. I think another reason as to why it took so long to spin some of these records, it's probably because I debated on whether to make videos on them. But like I said, I should have acted upon them earlier and or managed my time better. But hey, what can you do? Sometimes you just gotta cut your losses and listen to them off camera. Good lesson into the new year, maybe. But I still have some last minute additions to the list nonetheless. And I'll do what I did last year and I will add them to the list whenever I can. But won't really rank them just to keep the video order same. You know, I gotta keep whatever integrity is left of the list. So yeah, I'm sorry Hayley Williams, I'm sorry Geese, I'm sorry Black Country New Road, I'm sorry Rosalina, I'm sorry 21 Pilots, Skrillex, etc. But most importantly, sorry Benson Boone. But without further ado, bang! The good stuff list for 2025. It's not that crazy, you know, like 50 albums here. It's still a good amount, but not the number I was hoping for. But there's still a lot of albums here and a lot of music to talk about. Keep in mind, this is not really a top 50 albums list. It's just that I happen to only listen to about 50 albums that I thought was good. Like, remember, the good stuff list of 2024 had like 70 albums, so yeah. The number can really fluctuate from year to year, so I guess just be ready for that. I will not go into detail about every single album you're about to see. I do have thoughts typed down for every single entry in here, so you can look on album of the year on my profile and you'll be able to see all these thoughts for yourself. But this video will be here to help you, you know, go over it together. But yeah, follow me. Album of the year count. Garroott, the usual name. Can see all the albums I've listened to and whatnot. Yeah, I'll probably give a single line of thoughts here and there, but I won't ramble about all of them until we get to like the top end of the list. Also, this list is loosely ranked. Kinda. Especially in the lower numbers. But if you don't know how the good stuff list works, I have an album that I thought was good. It's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, if I wanted to put a numerical value to what gets considered for the list, it's basically like it's like maybe high fives at the least, or like a 6 to a 10. I don't think I've had a 10 out of 10 this year, but I've got a lot of albums close to it at least. Also, there are other 2025 albums I've listened to that aren't on this list. But for those albums, either I don't really have a super strong opinion on them, or I just didn't like them. You'll find them in the listen section of my album of the year account, but yeah. And of course, if I do have a YouTube video reacting to that album, it will be linked in that entry on the list. Okay, yeah, that's enough prefacing. Let's get into the list. Number 51 is more of a honorable mention with JPEG Mafia's I Laid Down My Life For You director's cut. I usually don't do reissues or deluxes on this list, but I really like this new version. I liked the original version last year, if you remember my good stuff for 2024. But with this version, it has more bangers, of course, but also includes songs that add quite a crucial flow to the album. Like the wild instrumental at the tail end of New Black History, which is a banger, by the way. That track was supposed to transition into a song called Cult Status, and that's supposed to be a cutting room floor track. Like, even the title track was cut from the original album from last year. I will say the bonus tracks at the end do feel underdeveloped, and I can see why Peggy decided to possibly scrap them. But shout out for Peggy for being able to find the filler, or what he thinks is filler, and make an even more cohesive album. Still, if a handful of these cut songs made it to the original album, I wouldn't have minded it. Alright, let's get into the actual list. Number 50, Metro Booming, A Futuristic Summer. I saw what he was trying to do, but I am a dude who started to listen to him during that 2017 era, so maybe I won't get it as much as those who have been around longer than I've been alive. I still got a hint of that early internet nostalgia though. Number 45, West Side Gun, Heels Have Eyes. Number 48, Have On My Way to Rexdale. Yes, I don't think this album is that bad. Number 47, Pink Sifu. Sifu? Black Antique. Number 46, Jid, God Does Like Ugly, the Prelux. Number 45, Chance the Rapper, Starlight. My first Chance the Rapper album was pretty nice. Number 44, Playboy Cardi, Music. We waited so long for this album, and while we did get a lot of songs, the bad part was that we got a lot of songs. A lot of rushed, undercooked songs. Either put some of these songs in the oven or cut them entirely. You got a bunch of bangers, and you can possibly bump this higher up on the list. But, you know, if you're a Cardi stan, a Cardi truther, a Cardi worshiper, I'm assuming you've listened to all 30 plus tracks religiously, repeatedly, and whatnot. And you know what? Good for you, dude. Good for you. Swamp Izzo! Sorry, I forgot. I probably shouldn't be. Sorry, you guys saw the list, huh? Whoops. Blur that out, editor me. We don't like spoilers here. Number 43, Lady Gaga with Mayhem. Number 42, Maruha with Tir Nanog. Something like that. Sorry, guys. Number 41, Boldy James, Token of Appreciation. Where we at with it, Boldy? Well, apparently dropping music, and dropping it frequently. Number 40, K Tronada, Ain't No Damn Way. Number 39, Larry June, 2 Chainz, The Alchemist, Life is Beautiful. Number 38, Courting, Lust for Life, or How to Thread the Needle and Come Out the Other Side to Tell the Story. Lovely title. Number 37, Miley Cyrus, Something Beautiful. I actually really liked a Miley Cyrus album in 2025. If you never really gave her music that much thought, and I mean like with the music she came out on the scene with post Disney, it's like, yeah. This would be an album I'd say you should definitely give a listen to. Number 36, Joey Badass, Lonely at the Top. Number 35, Joey Valence and Bray, Hyper Youth. The duo is back, baby, and they're here for some the East Coast boys are here to drop some bangers again. Nina Geraci, I Love My Computer, an Australian electronic artist that I heard of through other people, of course. And wow. If you grew up in the age of like the 2000s to 2010s internet era, yeah, a lot of this stuff could probably be very relatable to you. As someone who definitely grew up in that era, sometimes with unrestricted internet access, yeah, I see where she gets most of her lyrics from. And yeah, still a fun album though. Number 33, Pink Pantheress, Fancy That. Hey, ooh, is this illegal? No, it's fucking not. The Pink Pantheress format still works. Number 12, West Side Gun, again, with 12. Number 31, X Void, In Love Again. Number 30, Heartworms, Glutton for Punishment. Number 29, Lambrini Girls, Who Let the Dogs Out. Ooh, sorry, I didn't mean to. Anyway, either way, we still had some pretty fun rock albums to start the year off. Number 28, Squid, Cowards. Number 27, Kevin Abstract, Blush. Fun, vibey album that also includes the likes of Danny Brown, Quadeca, and goddamn JPEG Mafia. That track is definitely not a chill one, by the way, but it's a good one. Gee, it's a good one. Who would have guessed on the good stuff list? Welcome to the channel. Maybe I'll dive into the defunct Brockhampton in the near future. But yeah, shout out to Kevin Abstract for this one. 26, Anamana Gucci, Anyway. Also another very fun rock album that isn't even their main sound. They're more like a 8-bit type of electronic music band. And yeah, shout out to the guys who collaborated with the Hatsune Miku. Number 25, Kali Uchis, Sincerely. Very beautiful album. Number 24, Deftones, Private Music. First Deftones album. I know, crazy, right? But it definitely did not disappoint. I definitely need to check out Around the Fur and White Pony, but the alt metal band is still doing their usual Deftones style. And they're still rocking in 2025. Fun stuff, really, really fun stuff. Very nice stuff, very kick-ass fucking music. Very badass. Shout out to the boys. Shout out to the Deftone boys. Number 23, Japanese Breakfast for Melancholy Brunettes and Sad Women. I am not a brunette, and I think I am not a woman. But I can be sad. So I think 1 out of 3 It's still pretty bad, but very nice album, very emotional, vulnerable album from Japanese Breakfast. I definitely need to check you out sometime sooner than later, hopefully. I don't know. Number 22, FKA Twigs, Eusexia. Eusexia. There we go, I think so. First FKA Twigs album. I know, a lot of firsts this year, huh? Eusexia is a word I've never heard before, and probably you too, because it's a new phrase or new term coined in by FKA Twigs herself. But it's a feeling of transcendence, the highest form of euphoria, and losing yourself to dance music. Twigs... What a voice crack. Twigs has even said herself that it's that feeling when you've been dancing all night and you lose 7 hours to music. It's also if you meet somebody that you really like and you just kiss all night and you kiss for all hours, you lose time. Well, all of these describe the album quite perfectly. Yeah, get lost in the music, dance a bit, get freaky on it, I don't freaking know. It's fun, it's chaotic, and it has a Northwest feature. Yeah, this thing just has everything. Number 21, Yeet, Dangerous Summer. This is a nice little, I think it's like an EP in a bit, but like, it's a nice little way to get us started for the actual Dangerous Summer album that he plans to roll out eventually. I don't know, but Portland's Greatest Alien does it again. He drops another batch of bangers, and freaking love it. All right, this has gone kind of fast today, huh? Gone very fast. Well, I do need to go somewhere soon, but we've done it. We've gone through it pretty quickly, and we are now here on the top 20. So let's move on and start rolling through him. Number 20, McKinley Dixon, Magic Alive. Wow. This was an insane arrangement of jazz rap that I really couldn't get enough of when I first heard it. The horn arrangements, the soulfulness of it, the chaotic energy, all very colorful and rich alongside McKinley Dixon's conscious rap style. And with a concept of 3 kids trying to bring their 4th friend back from the dead, so there's a lot of topics that revolve around, you know, death, grief, all that stuff. McKinley Dixon seemed to be one of the most hyped up in the hip-hop, jazz rap, conscious rap scene this year, and after listening to it, I can definitely see why. If you like bright, moving horns, I think this album is definitely for you. Number 19, Ray Vaughn, The Good, The Bad, The Dollar Menu. As you saw earlier in this list, I did mention Joey Badass. Well, he had a little beef with a bunch of West Coast rappers, one of the biggest ones being this guy here, the TDE affiliate, Ray Vaughn. And you know what? Thank God he beefed with him, because it gave me a reason to finally check this mixtape out, and yeah, the potential shines brightly through here. You have a bunch of that usual West Coast production under Vaughn's pretty good rapping ability. He talks about his life struggles, he talks about addiction, family issues, a bunch of notable things you'd probably hear from a conscious rapper with a rough upbringing. But Triple XLT is a West Coast banger, Clown is a banger, which also features J-Rock. Hello. Look at God is a super banger and might be one of my favorites off the mixtape. But yeah, if his album is developed upon what was built on this mixtape, I mean, TD could have another bright star in their camp. You know, besides Doechii, of course. Number 18, Rich Brian, Where's My Head? Keep in mind, Rich Brian hasn't released an album in 6 years. But what he finally graces upon us might be some of his best work yet. It is a far cry from the unserious raps of Dat Stick. It's more melodic and colorful with songs like Body High and Oh Well. Songs that showcases Brian's singing ability, which he's shown before with songs like 100 Degrees. But you can see a noticeable improvement. This album isn't without bangers though. Jumpy with Ski Mask, The Slump, God. Serpents, that is a freaking banger. Even the opening track, Senja, turns into a little trap track halfway through. A lot of it feels very similar to the route Tyler the Creator took with Flower Boy. A more softer approach than what we've usually seen from him so far. Jeez, Firework. Firework at 3 p.m? Crazy. I really don't know how much of Tyler has inspired this album, but I mean, Brian has been a supporter of him for a long time, so... Well, I don't know, maybe supporter is the right word? I don't know, he was at Camp Flog Gnaw recently, or one of the Flog Gnaws. But I will say this album does get bummed up a little because I did see him live recently. I didn't know how much more I could appreciate a song like Time Zones when he's just up there rapping the whole thing by himself. No breaks, by the way. It's a very decently sized track and he does it with no breaks. But yeah, a very introspective album from Brian, and it's glad to see him back in the studio. Number 17, Bon Iver, Sable Fable. Bon Iver was someone I kinda knew of. It didn't really hit until I found out. Sorry, I gotta remember that they're a band and not a singular person. But it didn't really hit until I found out that they had contributions to albums such as My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy and Utopia. But with this album, you aren't getting anything like a Power or a Fiend. But God, if Bon Iver ever decided to cover Fiend, I'd be morbidly entertained. But no, you will get a bunch of pop, folk, and country-like songs plastered throughout the album, and it's really nice. And the second disc takes on a more melodic style. The singer Justin Vernon's voice is very calming to hear all over it. I don't know, it makes me want to just stand outside and appreciate nature, that kind of stuff. Alright, number 16, Saba and No ID from the private collection of Saba and No ID. Okay, so Saba was a guy that I've heard of, you know, not too long ago. There's a lot of hype going around for this album and Saba as an artist. Yeah, I've heard good things about Saba, and with this new collaborative project released this year, I thought it was a perfect time to tap in. And boy, have I been sleeping on Saba. Another batch of these soulful, jazzy rap beats and a couple instances of groovy melodic performances. I mean, just look at tracks like Crash. The opening track makes me feel like everything is gonna be okay, which can be quite fitting considering that it mentions an interaction with a fan saying that his music helped her avoid a manic episode. It feels like he's grateful to have that sort of effect on those who take his music to heart. The chemistry he has with No ID is great as well. A very powerful team up that creates successful results. I'll say conscious hip hop has had a bunch of bright spots this year. Alright, blazing through it. We've made it to the top 15. Let's get into it. Number 15, Tyler the Creator, Don't Tap the Glass. Oh, we weren't tapping glass. We were shaking ass. Or well, at least according to my YouTube title about it. Yeah, after an album like Chromacopia that brushes upon topics of relationships, having a family, realizing your true self, Tyler just came back around this year and said, fuck it, I'm making too much sad personal shit. And boom, now we have songs like Sucker Free and Ring Ring Ring. While I might not like Sugar on My Tongue as much as the average person, I cannot deny its virality on social media. In fact, I would say I wasn't even a big fan of the album as a whole. But that was until I just decided to have fun with it and not take it so seriously. Because really, that's all what this album is. A no concept, full nonsense, groovy, danceable batch of tracks. The title track / song goes hard, Big Po goes hard, I See You Pharrell in Your Little Secondary Name. And my god, a song like I'll Take Care of You. Yebba and Tyler's vocals mesh so well on that track. The singing from both of them is just so blissful. And the cherry bomb drums at the drop, fuck yeah, dude. But yeah, this isn't my favorite Tyler album, but I love it in its own unique way. Get your funky ass in that tub, bitch. Goddamn, 10, 20, 30. Sorry. Is that too much? Damn, 10, 20. Sorry, was that too much? Sorry, was that not a vibe? My fault, gang. But yes, still, very great album in its own right. Number 14, Gen Hoshino with Gen. I've been following Gen for a while now. You either got exposed to him via Fushigi or the Spy X Family ending song comedy. Well, it might have took a while, but both of them actually show up on this album. It may seem a little unusual that singles from 2021 and 2022 end up on an album from 2025, but I like both songs, so I'm not really gonna complain about it. I'm not really gonna complain that they end up on this album if I freaking love those songs. But I can understand why old singles usually don't end up on albums, yada yada yada, whatever. Also keep in mind that this is his first album since 2018's Pop Virus, which is a pretty fun album, by the way, you should check that out. Also, I forgot the album Yellow Dancer dropped in 2015. Ah, dang it. Unless I did mention it in that 2015 video, but I don't remember. Anyway, there's a handful of styles here. Pop, R&B, Gen goes into this bag a lot throughout the album, and even some hip-hop. Like in the track titled 2, there's a rap performance by Lee Youngji. Freaking Corday shows up for some reason. But there are still super slick tracks in here like Star and the previously mentioned comedy. And the album opens up with tracks like Create and Mad Hope. Yeah, madness is definitely a way to describe them. But yeah, overall a really enjoyable listen. Shout out to one of Fortnite's earliest music collaborators. Number 13, Danny Brown, Stardust. I knew Danny Brown was always going to be experimental, but I wasn't fully prepared for what he had in store for Stardust, even with the prior chatter about it online. But to be honest, anything bad I've heard about this album is pretty much irrelevant to me because this shit is full of hyperpop bangers. Now I get it, right? It's no atrocity exhibition. It's no scaring the hoes. Some might even say it's almost catered towards those who spend their days browsing the internet playing Jane Remover. I mean, I even mentioned in the list that's probably what Danny did post Quaranta. Even if a track like 1999 is a little too left field for you, a guy like me though, I was still definitely taken aback by it, but I like it though. Songs like Lift You Up and What You See are so addicting, and Danny can really rap on whatever the fuck he chooses to. The song Copycats has been on my mind recently. It's been on repeat whenever I have the chance. I'm telling you, the underscore is about to put crack in that thing. But don't let the hyperpop fool you. There's still a bunch of introspective songs about maturity and appreciation for the fans in this album. I wouldn't be surprised if Danny Brown's biggest supporters got a little emotional from a track like All For You and The End. But yeah, I've liked this album way more than what I've heard people say about it. And yes, I know I shouldn't be persuaded by Twitter and whatnot, and maybe hyperpop / terminally online music isn't for you. That's all fine and dandy, but more for me, I guess. Alright, I'm turning up the AC a bit. It's starting to get hot. Number 12, Earl's Sweatshirt, Live, Laugh, Love. Danny Brown actually mentioned Earl's Sweatshirt on the opening track of Stardust. So, that's neat. By the way, this is the greatest album title ever, so... This album just makes me happy. Like, not just from the music, but from the way Earl has bettered himself from his young Odd Future days. He's happier, healthier, and has a family to look after. And that necessarily doesn't mean he's gonna turn into the next Will Smith or Nick A30, but you can tell he doesn't have that fuck everything is shit attitude from over a decade ago. The beats are still unique and experimental, and Earl's flows are still the same Earl flow that he's known for, but it's a style that hasn't worn off. He even sings a little bit for us on the song Tourmaline. Like, what? I mean, yeah, it's still a very short album, under half an hour, but that seems to be the standard since some rap songs. Fortunately, the quality hasn't dipped since. Live, love, laugh, Earl, man. Okay, the top 10. But isn't there 11 more to go? Well, it's because the next two albums are pretty much conjointed, and if they were combined, they practically make up an album. So, at 11 and 10, we have the two EPs from Paris, Texas, They Left Me With the Sword, and They Left Me With a Gun. Oh, God. I've kind of been off the Paris, Texas train until I eventually saw them open up for Tyler the Creator's Chromacopia tour. And while I didn't get to see their entire set, what I did see was a bunch of energetic performances. And you know, that basically made me want to check out their project mid-air. Fast forward to these EPs and wow, I might have found a new favorite duo. I've always said that in theory, rap and rock can work out. It's just that we haven't had much success to go off of. These two EPs from Paris, Texas have definitely proved my theory correct though. Countless insane rap showings with that punkier background complementing them. A track like Tantrum hasn't really left the mix since I first heard it. That second switch is an entire flow state of its own. A bunch of these tracks will just want you jumping out of your seat and go out moshing. The only thing ruining these projects is that they end as quickly as they did. If their next album is of quality as these, then I wish nothing but the best for them. And I'll see them live to make up for missing some of their Chromacopia set. Number 9. Mac Miller, Balloonerism. My Mac Miller journey has been well documented on this channel this year. While I'll try my best not to regurgitate old notes, I'll just say that this has been one of the best late discoveries I've had recently. It's not as emotionally draining as Circles, his other posthumous release, but a super out there and experimental record of the Faces era. Hell, it's even more experimental than Faces. I mean, there's an almost 12-minute outro track that includes an ambient phone ringing for like a good portion of it. But yeah, it's a very experimental album. I'm glad Max Estate has been able to curate something of quality years after his passing, or even over a decade since these songs were presumably recorded. Number 8, The Weeknd, Hurry Up Tomorrow. He can't fucking sing! Yeah, the year started off with the end of The Weeknd. And my goodness does he go out belting some soulful stuff. One of the best voices in the mainstream, no doubt, and it shines here if that wasn't already obvious. But I mean, what's a Weeknd album without some madness, right? That Can't Fucking Sing song transitions straight into Sao Paulo, which is a Brazilian funk song. Yeah, I don't know how, but it works. That music video though. Well, we knew Abel was a horror freak, so... There's still a bunch of your typical Weeknd R&B sound, as well as the revived synth dance elements he's been on since the start of the After Hours trilogy. It's a lengthy album to get through, you know, with an hour and a half of music. But I think once you hear that closer track, you'll be appreciative of what The Weeknd as an artist has brought to the music landscape all these years. Makes you wonder what Abel is gonna do in a post-Weeknd world, but that remains to be seen. Well, besides a movie, but anyway. Number 7, Jid, God Does Like Ugly, the actual album. Man, Jid has been killing it for a long time now, but I wasn't able to realize that until I caught the Forever Story in 2022. Now, does this album match up to that? That's up for debate, but this is by no means a bad Jid album. I don't know if you can even find one at the moment, but yeah, that opening track does put a lot of doubts to rest. Man, some of this shit would make you think the devil produced some of these beats, but yeah. Bunch of religious references, talks about perseverance, and some danceable beats like skate. All of this under Jid's usual impressive flows. He's still one of the best in the entire rap game. Number 6, Chain Remover, Revenge Seekers. Jesus Christ. Speaking of terminally online hyperpop, this is an album I feel like won't be for everyone, but holy shit, can I just say, I've never experienced something as in your fucking face and face melting as this album. Like, it's so aggressive and abrasive. You could honestly classify this as part of the rage genre. I mean, look at the album cover. Is that not sick as fuck? Well, I don't know if you can see it, but like, actually here, wait, look. I'll bring it up on Spotify then. Sorry, I forgot I was supposed to do that. Look at that album cover though. Like, what'd I just say? Does it not look sick as fuck? She looks sick. And look, more Danny Brown. It is so overstimulating and glitchy that it might send a Victorian era child into psychosis. Hell, it might even send a modern day casual music listener into shock. Seriously, if you want a good example of the new wave of hyperpop music, this is pretty much right up your alley. I mean, like, yeah, you get the gist. Alright, yeah. Alright. Number 5. Freddie Gibbs, The Alchemist, Alfredo 2. Dude, I fucking love Raw, man. Anyway, Alfredo 1 was one of my favorite projects of that year. The creative beats from Uncle Al mixed in with Freddie's unreal gangster flow made for such a magical 10 tracks. Basically take that same template, add 4 more songs and a Japanese Yakuza setting over it, and you get Alfredo 2. And I don't really think of it as like a rehash of sorts. They basically built up upon what they already had and created a lot more bangers. 1985 needed another sequel opening track, so we got 1995, with an insane guitar loop in the second half. Lemon Pepper Steppers is a banger, Gold Feet has a really nice shit feature, as if that wouldn't be fire, and Enchilada had a very great feature from the wonderful Anderson Paak, whatever. Yeah, it's still difficult for me to decide which Alfredo is better. Both are near and dear to my heart. I know a lot of people like Gibbs' collaborations with Madlib more, but I don't know. The dreamy, sample-heavy beats of Alchemist it's been my go-to recently. The lo-fi, jazzy shit, I don't know, it's A1 for me. Album number 4. Lotus, Little Sims. Oh my goodness. Another consistent voice in the hip-hop scene, and she is not disappointed yet. A really great album considering the legal issues she had with her producer Inflow. The dude failed to repay 1.7 million pounds. Like, is that not insane? That is a crazy number. But the change in producer does not hinder her in the slightest. It still includes those orchestral passages as well as a little goofy detour in Young. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, by the way. It's quite humorous, honestly. But holy, do the songs Free, Hollow, and Blue put me in a trance that I just have to sit down and ponder for. But still, those strings, when they come in, they have me floating. Sims brushes upon a lot of stuff that involves self-struggle, world problems, but like a lotus flower, she wills herself to come out stronger and blossom into the person she wants to become. Through love, betrayal, spirituality, and a Sampha feature. This is another great vulnerable project from the UK native. Love everything I've heard from her so far, and her catalog gets stronger and stronger. Wishing that the love would set us free. Great single. Alright. Top 3 albums. Number 3, Quadeca, Vanisher, Horizon, Scraper. Look at here, another YouTuber turned artist has made the top tier of albums I liked. Pretty much everything from this album. From the concept to the flow of everything, the production, Quadeca's rapping and singing, it all meshes together to make this creative, beautiful, horrifying mess of a journey. Seriously, the contrast from songs like Monday and Godstain to Thunder and Bacchanal, shout out to Danny Brown and the Philippines, is just nothing to scoff at. And I guess it helps you visualize the journey of a man who sails the seas in search of and I guess it helps you visualize the journey of a man who sails the seas in search of fulfillment or freedom. But the sea isn't always calming and beautiful. It's rough and unforgiving, and I'm sure Kodaka was aware of that throughout the entire process. You can even think of this sailing to be some form of metaphor for depressive thoughts and the search for happiness, but you know, it's Kodaka, you can leave it somewhat open-ended or up to different interpretations. But yes, this is as creative and as brash as an album can be for the year. I really hope people don't knock this album off just because Kodaka got his start on this website, YouTube. Even if he did, the ability to curate something like this should absolve him from any bad mojo a YouTuber turned artist would usually bring with them. My number 2 album of the year will go to Bad Bunny, Debí tirar más fotos. Something like that. I'm sorry if I butchered that pronunciation horribly, but my god. Wow, what an album. What an album. One of the first albums we got to start the year, and my god, did we come out swinging. Really, all I knew about Bad Bunny was that he obviously was in the Latin reggaeton scene, and that he had his little stint in the WWE. That is my main exposure to the guy, was him wrestling on WrestleMania, and honestly liking his wrestling ability. He drops an album this year at the start of the year, and I'm like, you know what? I like his wrestling ability. I want to see what his albums are kind of like. And from what I've heard, it seems like this might be his best album. It is super vulnerable, super personal, very emotional, and honestly impacts me in an emotional way. Of course, you get your usual salsa bangers like our opening track here, a lot of club bangers, but a lot of tracks that involve like heartbreak, relationships, regret, jealousy, toxicity, all that kinds of stuff. But also with tracks that are very sentimental, very critical of places like Puerto Rico or Hawaii. I mean, literally, Turista talking about, you know, foreigners coming in and only knowing places like PR and Hawaii as these places of paradise, and you know, only there for the good parts of it, but to those who have lived here all their lives or have seen it way longer than they have for their little weekend vacation getaway, you know all the bad stuff that goes on throughout the islands. And it's like, it's not all fine and dandy when you're here for only like a few days. I think a lot of people are starting to realize that with other places like China and Japan, where, you know, they have some really nice places and they have very popular areas that cater towards, you know, outsiders, but for the locals and those who have history here, it's like, no, there's an underlying problem with it, just like any other country. But obviously, Bad Bunny even makes comparisons to Hawaii with topics of colonialism, wanting to warn the people of Puerto Rico that there are people out there that do not have the best interests for you, the people of the land. He mentions Hawaii's, you know, history of colonization, the overthrowing, well, he doesn't say it, but, you know, like stuff like overthrowing of the queen, all that kinds of stuff. Pushing people out of the land to make room for the more richer, greedier foreigners or outside companies. Basically just fucking up all the other locals, and it's just, you can go a lot into it. I don't want to go too crazy on it, but it's, as someone who has lived here in Hawaii all my life, it is a very powerful track. And it's also very much a call to action to those who keep the identity, the culture, the ethos of your hometown alive. Wear the Puerto Rico flag proudly, wear the Hawaiian flag proudly, you know, be proud of your heritage. I mean, even on the final track, he pretty much says that once again in a more, you know, strong and proud way, and it, you know, it's a very nice way to end off the album. But oh my god, the title track I get emotional listening to it. It's a very simple song. It's very much about like appreciating your friends, taking more photos, wishing I took more photos of those who are are gone forever, because it allows me to have a visual piece of you, a visual memory, a physical memory, or whatnot. It allows me to never forget the times and the moments we've had. I don't know if this is the main reason, but that track has definitely given me even more of a reason to start taking more photos of stuff I experienced throughout the year. Before I would take photos, but like before I would just think taking photos as like a little awkward and almost unnecessary in a way, because, you know, I'll remember it, but so much stuff happens in a year and like memories fade. It's really hard to keep everything that has happened to you and what you've experienced in your brain for the longest of times. You're bound to forget something, and having a photo of whatever in the moment or whatnot, a video, a photo, whatever, it helps you keep the good times, the good moments, the good feelings, you know, encapsulated. And say you do forget something, you do forget that thing happening, you look at the photo, all the memories and the feelings come rushing back. It's a really great track, and I'm like, the more I listen to it, the more I hear his friends or whatever in the studio doing their sloppy rendition of the chorus, I just can't help but like laugh and like get in my feels a little bit, because I just appreciate my friends. I appreciate those are important to me, and maybe I'm bad at expressing that, but I do really appreciate them. Sorry to get all sappy and shit, but like, I mean, the fucking chord. Just listen to that shit. I love it, dude. I just love it. I love it. Definitely was a high consideration for my top pick of album of the year, but I think I'm satisfied with settling for this being at number 2. But holy, this is a really great album. But we will have to move on. And with that being said, the number 1 spot for my good stuff list, I guess you could say, is my album of the year. I mean, if you watched the channel this year, you would probably know that it is Clips, Pusha T, Malice, Let God Sort 'Em Out. Oh my freaking goodness. Holy. Yeah, I'm telling you, I really had a struggle to figure out if this or Bad Bunny deserved the number 1 spot, but eventually I settled on Clips' album, and I'm not mad about it. I mean, obviously, if I was mad about it, I'd do like a, you know, co-op 1 spot, maybe, I don't fucking know, but I'll just put Clips' album here at number 1 just because, like, my god, it is just so packed filled of everything. I've been a fan of Pusha for a while now, and while my main source of Clips exposure was through Use This Gospel off of Jesus is King, I did brush up upon the classics like Lord Willing. Grinding. Yeah, okay. And after finally listening to this album when I came back from my trip to Texas, I was in awe. I was blown away from what I was hearing. I mean, it's not like there were allegations of Push and Malice being washed, but I swear, if you heard this album, it wouldn't have felt like they were on hiatus for over a decade and a half. The Birds Don't Sing, an emotionally heart-wrenching track about their loving parents dying. Chains and Whips is so visceral you think the devil possessed the two. Ace Trumpets also has a Hawaii mention. It's not to the emotional and important extent of the Bad Bunny track, but it's here nonetheless. I mean, this come on.
Culturally inappropriate.
Yellow diamonds look like pee-pee. Bitches fly from DC on my private to Waikiki. Call you little Michis, it's easy. What an opening line. I mean, come on. So many memorable verses, so many notable one-liners, great features from the likes of Tyler the Creator, Kendrick Lamar, Pharrell, who takes the brunt of the production and helps emulate that classic Clips X Neptune. That classic Clips X Neptune sound. And as an accounting major, a song titled EBITDA boosts the album infinitely. I'm joking, by the way. I even forgot the acronym while I was reacting to this live on video. And the horns on Inglorious Bastards. Dude, I'm gonna hurl in excitement. And while I'm not a super fan of the closing track, everything that basically came before it has completely overshadowed any negative thoughts I could possibly have. The more I hear that goddamn Ace Trumpets opening line, the more I groove to Pharrell's production, the more I get chills from Pusha and Malice's old man, grizzled veteran raps. It's clear it becomes not only my rap album of the year, but my album of the year entirely. Maybe one more for the road. Yellow diamonds look like PP on my private to Waikiki. 3P. Nice. And there you have it. We have done it. Another year of good stuff has concluded. What did you think of the list? What glaring omission had you shook? What album should I add to the list in the new year? I would like to know, but I would also like to know your top albums of the year. Different choices, similar choices, and all. Once again, while I do think this was a down year in terms of listening activity, I'm still proud of a lot of the albums that I got to enjoy, especially those in the very top half. I need your bag. Yeah. Yellow diamonds look like pee-pee. Okay, anyway, with that being said, thank you for watching another good stuff list video in the books. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. You know the drill. Watch my other good stuff video if you want to. Watch my non-good stuff videos if you want to. Yeah. I am glad to have spent a lot of the year listening to and discussing music with you all. For those who have been stuck with me for the longest of times. I will be on a trip for the rest of the year, so I hope that these last several days of 2025 as well to all of you and to all of those who have made music, good music, listenable music this year. The list will be linked in the description or wherever it is. You can always check it in the future for any other albums that I've listened to after this video has been recorded. Hopefully I get to them eventually, but yeah, I think that's it. That's all I got for myself. Hopefully this video isn't too long. I don't know. I don't care. Anyway, I do have to go somewhere soon. So, yeah. Happy end of 2025, guys. Hope you had a nice listening experience of music. Hope you had a nice, good batch of albums for the year. And, yeah. I'm gonna head out now. Bye.